Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jermaine Morgan here, and you're watching Jermaine Morgan TV. Today, I have the privilege of having a few friends, a few brothers of mine, Mr. Ron James and Jarius Harge, filling in on keys for us. Um, y'all know what we do. We're gonna play a little bit of music, and we're gonna ask some questions, and we're gonna get some knowledge. So, y'all hang around. We'll be right back. So yeah, man. I wanted to do something different. I've been having bass players on the show, drummers on the show.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah. So I wanted to obviously bring in some other band members, if you will, and it's good to have friends that say yes when you call them.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But so I got you here today, man. And what I wanted to do, most of my audience that watches the episodes are mostly bass players, as you probably know. And something I've been doing is really talking about and teaching a lot of these different guys how to kind of solo and be more expressive on their instrument and kind of get out of the box of just playing the meat and potatoes of the groove, even though that's very important.
Very important.
But there's a lot of people who want to explore other options and other parts of their instrument. And with that being said, I know you being a sax player, you're constantly asked to come out and solo, and most of the time random spur of the moment type stuff.
Yeah.
Which for us as bass players, that almost never happens. so when you do get called for a solo, is you mostly gonna get a really slap kind of thing, or
you're gonna get the bass line with more intensity.
Exactly. So for the cats that want to break out of that, man, from a saxophone perspective, I know you have to think more melodically, and you could stretch out a little more. What's your approach to doing that?
Best way to understand my approach is to understand who I listen to, who I have listened to, or who I have learned from. I learned from keyboard players.
Okay.
I've learned from sax players as well, but I love listening to the way keyboard players phrase when it comes to soloing.
Okay. Guys
like Joe Sample, Bob James, George Duke, Herbie Hancock, the way they phrase, Chick Corea, the way they phrase their solos is unlike a saxophone player would. So to stretch my vocabulary and my ear, I listen to keyboard players. The way sax players phrase is the way they listen to other sax players. So if I want to phrase a little differently, I'm going to listen to somebody else.
Absolutely.
Therefore, bass players, listen to sax players. Listen to piano players. Listen to different guys who solo and hear how they phrase or how they put their solos and how they build their solos. Russell Ferrante is a genius.
Absolutely, I agree.
At building a solo, man.
Yellow Jackets, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he builds his solos. In fact, the whole Yellow Jackets crew. Bob Mincer is like sax god. I swear.
Right.
And I said that on film.
Uh-huh.
I think he's totally amazing. I mean, you listen to his big band or any of his solo stuff, and it's just incredible, including the stuff he does with Yellow Jackets. But yeah, listen to other instruments. Give some props to some other instruments and listen to them, and find out what they do, and it'll stretch your vocabulary when it comes to soloing.
I agree, and I've done a lot of that. Another thing I listen to, and I can notice even in your playing, I listen to a lot of vocalists to get a lot of ideas, and I can hear your phrasing. You versus some other sax players that I know, you phrase more like a vocalist.
Yeah, very true.
Is that intentional?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, if I'm taking the lead and people usually, for instance, if I go to a venue to play somewhere, do you have a vocalist? Is usually the first thing they ask me, because people are used to hearing a vocalist singing some certain songs, singing the lead to a song.
Right. So
if I'm singing, then it won't be missed as much.
Exactly.
So I've learned to do that from way back. And plus, that's my first thing I started doing when I was like 5 years old, 6 years old, in church, singing hymns with mom and dad and sister. So.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, Doc.
I didn't know you were the choir guy.
I got taught, and I put it on Facebook the other day. Friend of mine, Dennis Ross, his mom taught me how to sing properly. I was maybe 9.
Okay.
And she gave me voice lessons. How to sing from your diaphragm and properly project and stand up straight and all that stuff.
Anatomical position.
Right, yeah. You're lining up your center and nailing it.
I suck at all of that, by the way, but you know.
But it was more so for classical training. I was starting to sing like opera stuff, like classical music. It wasn't for the runs and riffs and stuff, the leaps and bounds that they do today. It wasn't
the fun stuff.
It wasn't that. Okay. So
okay. Well, that's I noticed when we were playing the groove, you and Jay were playing a lot off of each other, and that's something we were talking about earlier.
Listening.
You're listening. You're listening, and you're picking out certain notes of the chord that he's playing to come up with your ideas.
Right.
And I think that's with cats that are playing in the box all the time. Okay, I learned this song, and we're gonna play this song, and I'm gonna take my solo based on all the stuff I've sat down and shed or sat down and went through. I know this chord work. I mean, these particular notes work over this chord.
That chord, right.
That's good, but it can mess you up when you're in a situation where it's a free flow, kind of like what we were just doing here. And the keyboard player might go to a different substitution. You might be left out there to dry if you don't know
where he went.
So
what note changed?
Could you demonstrate some of that?
Okay. I guess how would we start that? How would I demonstrate?
I mean, we could just take the groove. Y'all can take that groove that we were just playing and
give
just give a little.
And I really do feed off of keyboard players a whole lot. So when a keyboard player is voicing, I'm listening to every note he's playing. And when I hear a change, I have to be able to trigger off of that change like right away. It could be just one note. You know, it could be just one note. Like in the first chord of the groove part, the end groove part,
6.
You played a major chord instead of a minor chord, right? You went to C major, right?
C major 7.
Right, you went to C major instead of the minor chord that was there for. So that was like a major change. So I heard that, and when I heard that, I feed off of that.
Okay.
You know, and those are all color notes, you know, like we discussed off camera. The color notes, those make the chords pretty. They make them stand out. They make your ears perk up. Okay. So when people play those notes, especially keyboard players are so very important. So very important. They provide a lot of color. And they can make or break your session, your live show, your concert. They can make or break you.
Your life.
Yeah. So if keyboard players messing up, man, it's gonna be problematic. But let me show you what we're talking about. Go ahead and play the groove, the end groove. Right now it's just so it's just a simple C minor. Or you can go E flat major. Relative, right? Now, what you should do now is go to the change where you went to C major, right? So the first chord is going to be C major instead of C minor. See, and he went right back to it. So that's a good example of a little change.
Yeah.
It's just makes you perk up. Because you playing a groove, some grooves can, like, I don't know if you ever heard of Parliament Funkadelic.
Yes,
Them dudes, they can lay in a groove for 20 minutes. And it'll be one bass note. Boom, boom, and they'll just sit there. And that groove will be so infectious, you won't mind it.
Absolutely.
You will sit there and listen to that 20-minute groove. Other grooves, it's a different type of thing. So you want to change just slightly just to keep interest. Yeah. You know? So it makes a little bit of a difference when it comes to the groove. You got to know And you got to be able to feel it too. I guess what I would say to everybody, listen, not just to other people's music, but do that. Not just to other instrumentations, but do that. But listen to what's going on around you. When you play live, when you're playing in the studio, listen to what's going on around you. Listen to the vibe. Listen to your body. Listen to your heart. Listen. Be aware. Listening is not just using your ears. It's using the rest of your senses too.
Absolutely.
So,
I agree.
Yeah. Sometimes the vibe of a song is wrong. You know? Or the vibe that you're playing in is just not matching what's happening with the song.
Right.
Feel it.
Yeah.
You know? Feel it. That's a part of listening too. So I would admonish everyone to do that.
Yeah.
Listen.
Don't be mechanical.
No, I mean, be mechanical to an extent. Chick Corea. Practice. When you're done practicing, practice some more. Practice. And then when you're done that, and you get on the stage and you're ready to play, forget everything. At that point, it's all just here. It transferred from here to here. So let it happen. Absolutely. Whatever it is, just let it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there it is, guys.
Set.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.